Yesterday I did a test of two saws. These are more on the lower end cost-wise saws. These are cheaper saws. But I did a test against the Garwinner and Wemars. Both are 62cc 20-inch bars. And I made a shocking discovery that these cheaper made, less expensive saws perform relatively well. I am extremely surprised at the performance, the power, the durability, the handability. I found that the fuel consumption is very decent. Obviously, it's 110 decibels. I like the Wemars casing. It's a more durable, more harder plastic than I do the Garwinner. And the easy start mechanism I find to be very convenient. Very few pulls, very few pulls are required to get a good fire, a good start. The recoil is perfect. There is no big snags, no sudden fetch-ups when you're cranking. It doesn't have the primer bulbs, but the choke is a great system. It's a great choke. The downside is the chains that come with the saws itself during your assembly. They stretch very easily and frequently. They're not exactly comparing to the Oregon chains, etc., but they are very sharp. But like I said, the downside is they stretch very easily and more frequent sharpening than most of the good chains. I'm using a quality bar chain oil. I'm using Hyper Tough, which probably is not the best, but for the temperatures that I'm in here in the state of Maine, it seems to be ideal for these two particular saws. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and buy Hyper Tough. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just stating that what's working for me personally. I'm not a professional, so my video review is based on my personal experience. It's not based on expertise. So please understand that nothing that I say in this video or any other video should be taken as professional advice. Please consider this video and all other videos that I've done or could do as entertainment purposes only because, like I said, I'm not a professional. I have a lot of experience working with saws, but I am not a professional. So please consult with your local small engine dealership, your chainsaw companies. Always refer to your manuals. And above all things, regardless, when in doubt, seek professional help. Don't just go to Google and get online, especially these YouTube videos, even this one, because sometimes you can be misled. But to sum this up, I just wanted to say that I did the test by allowing both saws, separately obviously, the Garwinner and the Wemars, to cut through a 16-inch girth log by allowing the saw to do the work itself first, and then by dogging it down. And by far, what I noticed is the Wemar was much easier, much quicker, but the Garwinner had more durability and more power. So I'm not really sure why, because they're both 62cc. They're both made pretty much the same. And obviously, they both are Chinese-made saws. That being said, I hope this video reaches people who may need to review these cheaper model saws. Both of these I got off on Walmart.com, and I ordered them, and they were shipped within a couple days. I received them within 4, maybe 5 days. These saws ran roughly between $105 and $115 each. They're very, very cheap saws. You don't have to spend $600, $700, $800 on a higher brand name saw. But you get what you pay for. That's bottom line. If it's a lower price, cheaper saw, typically it's not going to perform the way these more expensive saws do. But based on my research and experience in the past couple days, I'd say they run really close. Now, my personal point of view is if you're going to buy a Garwinner or a Wemar for a couple $100 and some change, you could buy both. But if you're going to buy one of these two, I personally, in my own personal preference, prefer the Wemars. That's a thumbs up on that. Right across the board, that's a thumbs up. So I hope that helps. If you use these two chainsaws, understand these are 50-to-1 ratio on your fuel, and you don't want to do 25-to-1, etc., etc. You might end up doing some more damage than you really realize. I'm not saying that you cannot use other fuel. I'm only saying that from what I've read and some of the other reviews I've seen, the 50-to-1 seems to be the ideal fuel, the recommended fuel. But whatever you do, try to keep as low ethanol as you can. Ethanol will gum up your carburetor, your fuel lines, etc. I do know that. Always wear ear protection when you're using a chainsaw if you can. It's recommended to use safety glasses, visor, or something. And if you can, get a set of old chaps or new chaps, whichever you prefer, as long as you're wearing something to protect your legs. Obviously, your bar and your chain is going to be running right close to your legs often. So a set of chaps might help. A decent pair of gloves. And when you're sharpening, if you're using the file to sharpen the teeth, using the round file, make sure you get the right type of file. You don't want to have the wrong size and sharpen the teeth wrong, because then you're going to have more of a workload on your saw and it's not going to cut right. As a reminder, always check your rakes. Make sure they're not at or above the teeth. I rake mine down every time I file. I set the rakes, and I try to go slightly less than the teeth. You don't want too far down, because then you're going to dig in really fast, really, really tight, dogging it, and that can cause a good kickback or a stall out. You might even get your bar pinched. If you do get your bar pinched, it's always good to have a second saw on hand or carry a spare bar and chain with you, just in case you have to undo yourself. That I've done a couple times. All right, I'll wrap this video up. I hope this helps you guys. And again, I find the Wemar series over the Garwinner as a go-to saw for a cheaply made, less expensive saw. If you can afford the more expensive saws, like the bigger brands, Stihl, Husqvarna, Jones-Red, by all means. I mean, if that's within your budget, there is nothing wrong with that. Myself, I'm not exactly wealthy, so I can't go out and buy a bunch of high top-end saws. If this gets the job done, then that's what it takes. Nothing wrong with that. Don't be shy or embarrassed to buy a cheaper saw. As long as you're getting the job done and you're safe, who cares? Enjoy, everybody, and again, thanks for listening, and always remember, safety should be priority.